Hey ladies, I want to come in and do this quick little Facebook Live. I've had a lot of people reach out to me, sharing with me how they're feeling stuck, disorientated in a way, that one part of themselves feels like they know exactly the direction they're going in, and then there's this another aspect of themselves that feels like every obstacle is in the way, and wanting to know how to be able to manage through these turbulent times and how to stay focused and grounded and how to be able to move with the energy that is happening. So today the headline for this Facebook Live was look at how you can go deeper into your personal development and connect with your divinity. So that is about being able to access that right at this moment. We are all going through so much personal growth. We will find that things from our past will come up, maybe things from even when we were really, really young that have come up as a way to be able to look at what needs to be healed and transformed in that time. But it's also about creating that space to whatever it is that we want to be able to manifest. So as we clear and heal one thing, we're opening up that space for other things. So there's these huge things that are happening within our own self to help elevate our personal development and our personal growth, and also personal connection back to soul. And so the three areas that I find are really jumping out for me, and which is what I wanted to share for anyone out there that is feeling like stuck, pissed off, frustrated, yet knowing that there's something greater out there for you, but just not knowing what that is or how to get there, is to be able to understand. The first is to deeply connect to that inner knowingness, which is called claircognizance. Now, what makes claircognizance a little bit more challenging to access or to stabilize is that it requires a great deal of trust. Yet, whenever you get into that inner knowingness, that feeling of knowing that there's magic, miracles, and something breathtaking that is just about to unfold, it engages those feelings and emotional connection of excitement, joy, happiness, trust, self-belief, all those kind of things, that inner knowingness. When you deeply connect into it, it removes those fear-based thoughts. It removes those doubts and limitations that we place upon ourselves as human. And the reason of why that inner knowingness, connecting into it, is because it helps us develop more trust. Trust that all you have to do is connect to that inner knowingness that something awesome is going to happen. Would it be nice if you know what that looked like? Of course it would. But just because you may not know what it is doesn't mean that you can't put your trust and faith and belief into that inner knowingness. So that's where it's really important to stay connected to that inner knowingness, because when you've got those feelings of excitement, joy, happiness, knowing that there's magic and manifestations and miracles that happen every day. Now, I know they're really expansive words. I know they're also go-to words that we're using at the moment, magic and manifestation, but it does happen. You hear of these stories all the time of, something amazing just happens to someone, and that something amazing can happen to you too. And all you need to do is just trust in the process, that you're exactly where you need to be right at this point, and how you can strengthen that connection to that claircognizance, that inner knowing that there is something magical about to unfold, is just to sit in that space and allow those feelings of joy and happiness. Because when you operate from that space of joy and happiness, naturally you start attracting higher vibrational things into your world, because you're operating from a higher frequency. So that's the first thing. Now, the human part wants to be able to go, well, what are we putting all of our trust and faith and belief into? It's okay. Let your mind go there, and that's all you have to say. Remind your own self is that the faith and trust and self-belief you're putting it is within you, that feeling of connection to that inner knowingness that something amazing is about to unfold. And therefore, some of those doubts can dissipate. Just because you don't know the whole journey doesn't mean that you don't take the journey. And that's what's really, really important to understand when pursuing being open to that development within your own growth, is to allow that trust to start to develop and strengthen. And that's where the trust can go into the feelings that claircognizance gives you. And therefore you create something stable. Whereas when we lack trust, we're unstable because we don't trust anything, and we certainly don't trust ourselves. So that's the first thing, to be able to help be able to access more of your personal growth and experience more of your divinity, is to stay in that space and feeling an emotional connection to that claircognizance. The next is resources. Now, understanding that every part of your journey has already been clearly mapped out. You have a soul plan, a soul map, a soul blueprint, whatever it is that you want to call it, and your soul knows exactly where it is that you need to be, and all of the people and things that need to be brought into your world for those things to be completed. So this is where it's important to understand that even though you may not understand how you're going to get from point A to point B. Now, I'm just going to use this as an example. Say you have a dream of buying a house. Just completely randomly throw something out there. Say you want to save to be able to buy a house, and you've been seeing this vision of this beautiful house. You've got that excitement of building, of knowing that you're going to move into that house soon, but you worry about how you're going to get there, or where the finances are going to come through. And if you're a person that wants to build, then you're wondering if are you going to find the right builder. All of the right resources will be brought into your world to be able to purchase that home. So that could look like more income, a windfall, access to cash, an inheritance, ways in which you get an influx of support financially that helps you to be able to put the deposit down to be able to buy that house. Or if you own a home, that the right resource, the right people will come along to be able to buy your house at the right price that you want, so then you have the funds therefore to be able to buy it. This is where it's important to understand that the source energy of universal energy will come through and provide you with all of the resources that you require, both internally and externally as well. So the universe will give you signs and synchronicities to connect to your soul, to stay connected to that inner knowingness. So that's that resource internally. Externally, it will start shifting the frequency out there to attract the right people into your world, or the right things and experiences, in order for you to access the resources that you require to achieve what it is that you want. And that's where it's super important. That's why the first step is that inner knowingness, trust, developing that trust then therefore travels through into the resources, and therefore you have more trust that, I don't know how it's going to unfold, but I'm going to keep putting my energy into that beautiful, magnificent home that I want. And that's where I choose to put my energy, because I know that the universe is going to bring all of the right resources to me to help make me manifest, or for this to show up in my reality. And this is where the magic happens, is that we bypass those fears and doubts and trying to worry about and also letting go of that control of having to know every single step. Okay? This third step is the resilience. Remember how incredibly resilient you are. At the very beginning, I mentioned talking about our personal growth and how we can access that divinity. It's also about being able to understand that is where the resilience comes in. What can you do in that interim to keep yourself at that space of clearing stuff, creating more space, and having the resilience to know that everything will unfold exactly how it's supposed to be, based on your soul plan, that you're not going crazy. These things that are coming into your awareness is a reminder coming from your soul saying, keep believing, keep trusting. And that's where the resilience comes in. What is it that you need to be able to do on a daily basis to be able to stay in that space of belief and trust? And that looks like something different for every single person. And the way that I always like to be able to have a look at it is, how can you not accelerate, how can you expand your resilience on a mind, body, soul and spiritual level? Meaning, what do you need to do on a mind, emotional level to stay in that space of resilience, of self-belief and trust? What do you need to do on a physical level to keep the energy inside of your gorgeous physical vehicle flowing freely and shifting away any energy that has become stuck or dormant, or is dense? What is it that you need to do to keep that beautiful free-flowing channel moving through all of your chakras? The third is soul. How is it that you are staying connected to soul and source being your spiritual being? So these are all the ways that we can strengthen that resilience within ourselves, and also that resilience to keep trusting and keep understanding that knowingness, it's there within every single person. And when we access that, that is when we truly step into that divinity, because that is that moment where we release the desire to control everything. We release that human part of our own self that wants to stay in a state of struggle, being stuck, fight, flight syndrome. This is a way that we release all of those things and allow that amalgamation between our soul, self, and source to unite as one amazing force to be able to attract and magnetize anything that it is that we want to show up in our reality. And through that will help you accelerate your personal growth, because you'll get to be able to understand yourself on such a deeper level of being able to go, oh, in this situation, I would normally do this. And I know what the result is that happens, so I'm going to try something different. Or when I do this, this naturally brings me back to being more deeply connected with my soul and source and self. So this is how that resilience plays a vital role. So just to recap on those 3 steps. The first step is that knowingness, to connect into that inner knowingness that you know and believe so deeply and inherently in the power of manifestation and the power of magic. And you know that all of that is within you. The second is resources. Know that source, being universal, guides, angels, whatever it is, the language that you use. For me, source is something outside of ourselves. So the universe is outside of itself and it brings itself into our awareness. That source will bring in all of the resources that you require in order to have and do all the things that you want. The third is having the resilience. How are you going to work on strengthening your trust, faith, and self-belief while through these turbulent times, and discover and access some of our incredible strengths that we forget when we become stuck or feel frustrated or have tapped into some of our fears, or have picked up on that externally through other people and is disseminating and thinking that is your energy. It's a really important time to be able to understand if the energy that you are feeling, is it actually yours, or have you tuned into the energy that is out there, or through other people around you, or hearing it through social media or in the news and situations like that, holding us in more fear and worry. And through each one of these brings this beautiful deep connection back to self, when we can understand what our strengths are, so that in these uncertain times we know how to be able to access our strengths and get us through times that are a little bit shaky but can become stabilized. Anything that's shaky is also giving us an indication of where something is not completely aligned, where you may have evolved but there's still areas that are holding you back, which could be things like boundaries around being able to understand what is your belief for your own self. Now, you may be someone that does believe in manifestations and magic, but other people around you may not. So you may feel like, oh, they're not people that I can discuss these to, or, you know, they think I'm crazy when I have these discussions, that I just get this feeling that something awesome is going to happen. And it becomes a buzzkill. But that's okay. You will find, again, the resources, the people where you can connect with, that you can talk about this type of things and help you stay in that gorgeous state of being most deeply connected with yourself, but being able to understand what is occurring with the energy and how to work with it. Because as humans, when we understand what the energy is, we understand the choices that we have. We understand that we are in a heightened time of taking our personal power back, through the choices that we make, through understanding that I can either get myself caught up in all of these external factors that's keeping me in a shitty space, or I can choose to stay in that knowingness that something amazing is going to happen, even if I don't know what that is just yet. I am going to trust that whatever it is that's stirring that excitement, joy, and happiness, because that is what happens when we know something awesome is going to happen. When we stay in that space, we know that that's our bubble where we can stay the most truest to ourselves. So I really hope that this all connects with you all. If you have any questions, leave a comment below and tag me in it. I'm more than happy to come back and answer this. And just remember that all of the answers you ever seek are within you. You've just got to be able to learn how to connect with that. And this is also true. For me, I find the resilience and resources and being able to connect into that knowingness, the way in which I do that daily is through oracle cards. So that's something that helps me in times of uncertainty, to be able to look within my own self, to access that sacred soulness connection, to know that the oracle cards or your tarot cards will help you to gain more clarity, to be able to gain more focus, to connect back into that knowingness, and also reveal your lessons and learnings right at this moment. So never forget that the universe is within you, and that you are connected to everything energetically. So wherever you're channeling your energy is what's going to show up in your world. So using those 3 key points of knowingness, resources, and resilience helps you to be able to understand how to be able to navigate this and stay to the most truest soul divine form that you are. So have an amazing Monday, and I wish you all the very best. Take care, gorgeous souls.